From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew.
Hello and welcome to episode 189 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. I'm Ed Green, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts Warren Carr, Karene Kiwan, and Sally Kunders. And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by our special guest, Olga Yakovleva from RHVoice, and we're coming to you on Saturday, the 20th of July, 2024. This week, we have our usual announcement section. In our Android Basics, we'll talk about the drop of Android 15 Beta 4. In Spotlight, Olga will talk to us about the RHVoice text-to-speech engine. And Karene has an episode of the Voice Assistant feature in our commentary or Jieshuo series. Well, how are we all? Sally, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great, except the weather is getting really hot these days, and it's not something that I like. And how are you? Are you better from the final?
No, not really, but I'm very glad Southgate was sacked.
Well,
he wasn't sacked, to be fair. He resigned, so that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, that's
the Football Association wanted him to stay, but he did resign. He wasn't sacked, but I'm very glad he's gone.
In other words, you're telling me you guys took a beating from Spain. You got your asses whooped.
Yeah, but I knew this would happen. Because of the coach. Yeah, I knew this was the thing.
It was truly entertaining game. I mean, I couldn't stop watching it. It was really amazing.
And have you plowed through that series of highlights I sent you?
Well, that's amazing. You did a great job, man.
I clipped together all the goals and the shootouts and red cards and injuries from the Euros and sent it to Sally. It's about 220 minutes.
Yeah, what I did immediately going to Turkey versus Georgia game and watching how the goals are.
Warren, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ed. It's just been hot, just like Sally had mentioned at his end. It's the same here. We've been in the 90s. The good news, however, is that our humidity hovering between 10 and 13%, so it makes all the difference. Other than that, I have something that Karene doesn't like. Someone brought me a bunch of peaches, boxes of those things. So I'm loving it, but they're ripening so fast. It's unbelievable. So I gave some of them away. So besides that, everything is going okay, and it's good.
Did you know peaches come in a can? They were put there by a man in a factory downtown. And if I had my little way, I'd eat peaches every day. That is a lyric. That is a lyric from
I'm all
Peaches
for it.
by President of the United States of America.
I'm all for it.
I do like peaches. So does the guy from Poland. He likes peaches.
Oh boy, don't even get that boy started.
Karene, how are you?
I'm doing well. Things are going well here, except for the hot weather and the high humidity. But yeah, things are going well. We I'm saying hi to fruits every day, but not tasting any of them. I just remember Warren. I'm waiting for the figs to just be available. I don't know if you know the black figs. We call them the black figs. They are the ones of the fruits, or one of the few fruits that I like. I don't know if Warren likes them as well, but yes, I'm waiting until August. Maybe this will make me feel better about the hot weather, which I don't like at all.
And Olga, how are you?
I'm okay. Okay, thank you. It's hot here too, in Armenia where I am. But it's summer. It's good.
Nice. Yeah, it's warm here, and London's not really set up for it. So it's just about 30 degrees, and we have no air conditioning. Certainly not in domestic settings, and not always in restaurants or bars either. So some do, but it's very warm.
Yeah. So that means having no air condition is no good condition at all.
No, it's a very bad condition. Very, very bad condition.
the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements.
Let's move on to our announcements section then. And I'd like to start with an announcement and wish our friends at AppleVis all the best. Their founder, David Goodwin, very sadly was taken into hospital with very serious illness recently. They are, to the extent that they are sort of thinking about how that project proceeds. Happily, he does seem to be on the mend based on comments, but I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say that all our thoughts are with those at AppleVis. We hope you're able to continue. You've done an amazing job for folks who want to know about macOS, iOS, tvOS, and all the other Apple ecosystem products. So Godspeed with David, that he gets better soon, and that AppleVis is able to continue as it has done for over a decade now. The next announcement we have, I think, Karene, you flagged this to us, didn't you? That there is something around Google Play Store removing apps that don't quite do anything or do anything very useful.
So Google is trying to remove the apps that don't meet certain standards from the Play Store, which is good. Actually, like the apps that literally do nothing, and there are apps that really do nothing, and apps that just focus on one simple functionality, which is so simple, like a wallpaper app that has only one wallpaper. So those are just examples. But yeah, I mean, it's good, but we should just always be careful when we're talking about Google, which is sometimes causing falling victims when it does some new policies. So I hope that there will be no victims, and it will not flag apps that are really useful, and it will not cause trouble more than more than doing good. So because Google is just sometimes using its AI stuff very much, and I hope that this will not cause really a lot of trouble, and that if it does, the problem is reverted quickly, and that apps are easily reintegrated in the Play Store. And yeah, so let's see how it will be and how things will go with that new policy.
I mean, in the article I read, that's not the one linked in the show notes, I've linked the support article, but it described the apps being removed as functionally useless. And Sally, it's a shame they've restricted the removal of functionally useless things to apps and not devices, isn't it?
Yeah, that really should be like, if there are any useless devices, they should definitely kick them out, right?
Can we think of any functionally useless devices, Sally? What would you suggest? I can think of one.
Well, obviously we got one.
And that would be Pixels, Fisher Prices, wouldn't it, Warren?
Yeah, we continue the tradition.
We just have a lot of Billy Akers, so what can I say?
Billy Akers is back from New South Wales. Strong news.
Oh, but seriously though, like Karene mentioned, I've seen a lot of apps on there that literally have no functions, of any use to write home about, and especially some apps are now like more or less like abandonware. They've been sitting there, haven't been updated since maybe like 2016, 2019, and last year alone, Google removed like over 2 million apps, and so frankly, we don't want a dumping ground. We want apps that work. So, but then in the same breath, we need to be careful so that we don't remove those apps that are good, alongside with the bad ones. In other words, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So I hope that Google is being careful on how it goes about removing this. But I think part of the problem is that, you have some people that would bring some of these apps out there innocent apps, and then later on, inject some malware in the updates, and this is part of the problem. So I think they're looking for our safety as well, and we don't want the Play Store to be a dumping ground. That's all I can say.
The other announcement I'd like to draw to your attention is the app Bonanza. Please do send us your app demos. As we said last week, do check if we've covered it before. If we haven't, it's been a long time ago, though, to be fair, and you think the app has undergone a major overhaul or update, then it might be worth doing it again. We've been going for some little time now, so maybe have a think about that. But in the main, if we've covered it, then you might want to cover something else. Please do try and get us your contributions by next Friday. Email them in, please, to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. That link is in the show notes. Don't post them to the Telegram group, really, if you can avoid doing that. If you absolutely have no other way to do it, then that's okay, but it's better if you don't. And we will hopefully do that at Bonanza.
And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics.
Let's turn to Android Basics then, and this week we're going to talk about the release of Android 15 Beta 4, and as I think the only person with an eligible device, that might have to be you, Warren.
I'm excited about it, even though not much has changed besides the platform stability, second platform stability and finalization of things and all of that. Nothing major was brought in this new Android 15 Beta 4. Of course, now we have some things that were hidden behind the flag now brought to view. And I'm looking at the diagnostics found in the system settings and under settings or under system. You'll find that in there. In other words, I kind of like the implementation, so you can even use another device. I didn't try it to see how that works, but you have something like a trusted device that you could use to diagnose another device and things like that. So it's a good feature, and I'm looking forward to the final release, but I'm sure that we may have a little maybe 4.1 or 4.2, just like we had with Beta 3. We may have little patches here before the final Google Android 15 comes out on August the 13th. So we're on a countdown. I'm excited, looking forward to it, and especially looking forward to the phones. I know you and Sally don't want the phones, but it's what I'm looking forward to. Unbelievable stuff. But that's what the update is. I can't believe mine was like almost 700 MB, 659 MBs to be exact. But like I said, it's just little fixes and stabilization. Another good thing that comes along with this one is that if you have enabled that private space, you can now unlock that private space using your face. And those are probably some of the major highlights of this Beta 4.
So what you're saying is then, if I have a proper phone running Android 15 and your rubbish Fisher-Price, actually useless device has failed, I can diagnose it. Like, I know what it is by looking at it. I can go into Pixel and just throw it away. But nominally, if there's a software issue, I can diagnose that with a companion device, can I?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Because when you go in there, you have two choices. You could use another device to do that. And so you could use that to diagnose if there are any touch problems that you're having, maybe unresponsiveness, the screen is not responsive. It will diagnose that. It will also diagnose the battery and all of that. So it's a nice implementation, and I think we may find it useful. But so before you probably take your phone to repairs, you could run that and see what the problem is. So at least you have a clue as to what's ailing your phone. So the person who is going to be making the repairs is not taking you for granted and just charging you a boatload of moolah. I don't know. I'm just trying to see, use cases for it, and that might be one of those.
And you mentioned the 13th of August. Is that a confirmed release date then for Android 15? They don't normally do that, do they? Or is that a speculated
it is.
date?
Yeah, it's a confirmed date. that we'll be having that Google event on August the 13th, and great.
But is that the
great
confirmed
phones.
release date for Android 15, or is that the confirmed, or do you think they're the same?
Well, it has to. Well, it's for the phones, but the phones are going to be sporting Android 15, and that's why Google is concluding all this beta stuff. I'll put my moolah on the table that we're going to see the final release, coming out with Pixel 9 series. And you know what? I'm even beginning to think that we may even see Android 15 final release before the launch of the phones.
Because that's aren't they normally October? The phones.
Yeah. Usually it's October, but it got moved back a couple of months this year.
Yeah.
And we've speculated, and no one knows why it is. But I think I preferred in August than October. Kind of too late.
I remember when we were talking about this last year, and maybe May time, and we were discussing when Android 14 might come out, and it was Austin who got it right, wasn't it? He said it would be October with the phones.
Exactly.
Everyone else went earlier.
We were all wrong, but Android 14 was a total mess. It was probably one of the. It reminded me so much of Windows Millennium. Android 14 was this. It was a very rocky start, and it just continued going on that direction. It was just awful. This year, though, hasn't been like that. So this is following the normal norm of the releases that we've seen in the past. So I'm thinking it's going to be that we may actually see this Android 15 stable release maybe the Monday before the release of the phones, or maybe even the week before the week of the phone releases. So we'll see what happens. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight.
For our Spotlight section, I'm delighted to say that we're joined by Olga Yakovleva from RHVoice. Olga, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Nice to meet you all, and good day to everyone.
Lovely to meet you too, and thank you for joining us. Before we get into RHVoice, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into software development?
I'm totally blind from birth. At school, I enjoyed mathematics, the best of all the subjects. And late in my school years, I started learning how to use a computer, and I realized I wanted to know how to drive them, how to program them, how to make them do something useful. And so I became a software developer.
Brilliant. And can you tell us a little bit about RHVoice?
Well, the RHVoice app for Android is a part of the larger RHVoice project. It started as a personal project on Linux. I wanted a better Russian voice for myself. Russian is my native language. And then over time, it just happened. It grew. It expanded. More people contributed to it. More languages were added. More voices. More platforms. Support for more platforms, including Android. And that's gradually it became the thing it is now.
And you don't necessarily have to list them all, but how many languages are you supporting at the minute?
Oh, I can't say exact number. I haven't prepared properly, around a dozen. But if I have to,
a dozen is close enough. That's good.
Yeah.
Usually I'm the historian, and I'm glad you guys mentioned the history here, the project and all of that. Olga, let's talk about, now here you are, you're a blind kid going back to school back then, And then to add on top of that, you're a girl, a woman. How was it? Was it easy for you? Because usually people don't associate most of the time, back in the day, it used to be that people think that you're a woman, you shouldn't be concerned about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and all of that. And to be honest with you, I'm not a math guy, so this is all like Greek to me, how you're able to do this kind of stuff. How easy or how hard was it for you, starting as a personal project and, maturing into what it is and then getting contributors and now a knuckleheaded kid like me out here in the state of Washington enjoying your work?
Well, so two parts. As a woman, I never had any trouble. No one ever told me I shouldn't be doing mathematics or programming as a girl. At school, I was the best in my class at mathematics, and my teachers was actually women. Mathematics teachers were women, and my parents were very supportive. In my family, there are people with technical background. And then I actually didn't go to study software development because no one was sure if a blind, not a woman or anything, but if a blind person could do it. I didn't actually know anyone at the time who could tell me I could study computer science. So I went to study mathematics and studied programming on my own. And RHVoice, how it developed, was it difficult? I mean, there was no plan. There was no. It just developed gradually, somehow, from project to project, from one development to another. I started experimenting. I became very, just fascinated by text to speech. I wanted to know how it worked. I had used it for years by then, but then I discovered some software and documentation which explained how to actually make a voice, and I got very interested. And as I said, I needed a better voice. So I just tried and it worked, and I published it on the internet, and people got interested, blind people got interested, more and more people got interested. I developed versions for Windows, later for Android. Then people got interested in other languages. And I tried to develop a new language. I didn't speak myself. I developed support for it. And it became one of the priorities. There are two major priorities for me and other people in the project. Screen reader support, that we created a responsive screen reader compatible engine for all the supported platforms, but also languages, unsupported languages which don't have good options right now. We want to add as many voices as possible for such languages, so screen reader users have options. And so organizations got interested, provided support funding for such projects, organizations helping the blind, and so that's how it gradually grew and developed.
One more, Olga. So what year did you bring this thing to Android? I think I remember, but I want to say, was it 2016, 2017? I don't remember exactly. And then was there a time that you felt like giving up on the project and all of that? It's very difficult. I mean, I don't have any experience at all in developing anything, but was there any time that you felt like, maybe I should give up on this project, or it's kind of being too difficult or whatever, and just kind of getting fed up with it? Take us down that road.
Well, to be honest, I can't actually exactly remember when I published the first version of the app on Android. Sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was 20. I think maybe about, I want to say, because I know that, some of my students, I had them trying it, and I think maybe that was either 2017 or 2018. It was definitely before the COVID.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
like
it
a
was
year or
earlier.
two
I
before the
think it was
COVID. Yeah.
earlier, actually. I
Yeah.
think it was earlier. It may
Yeah.
be
Like 2018 or 2017.
2014, or even, I think it was even earlier than that.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember the device I was testing it, developing it on, it was the good old tablet Nexus 7, and that was like
That was from
2013 now.
2012. Yeah, Nexus. We
Yeah.
got 2012 and 2013 versions of the Nexus 7. So you're correct. You probably have that thing going back in 2014. Now, I didn't discover it till I think maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And answering your second question, well, it's difficult. I mean, voice development is complicated. It's a very specialized programming task, and it requires external resources. Like you need good quality natural speech recordings. You need to learn enough about the language you are working, you are developing for. And it's people, when they discover RHVoice on Google Play, they seem to think it's behind it there's a large company with a lot of resources, rich company, and there's just really a few people, and we get requests all the time, get at this language, at that language, but it's not that simple. You really need external support. You need funding for such work, and it's very challenging. And yes, sometimes you think that it's difficult. I don't know if we are going to continue, how we're going to continue. So it happens. Yes.
Now, you're not charging for this. And the first thing that hit me was the fact that you're not even charging $1 for it. Have you considered, because I don't think it will be a sin for you to say, hey, I'm going to charge a couple of dollars for this. And like you mentioned, it's not easy developing software, and most especially if you're going to be supporting various languages out there as it stands. And you would need some help, people contributing or whatever, translators and all of that. How are you able to keep doing this if you are not charging for this? And would you not think of maybe charging a little bit for it down the road, just to be able to maintain the development of the app? Because the one thing I would not like to see is to see that thing disappear. Then I'll be mad at you.
Well, okay, it's complicated because I personally has worked on multiple projects for languages, those unsupported languages I keep talking about, right? They didn't have good options before. And one of the conditions is that this project is funded, this work is funded, but the result is free for users. So they have access to it. And that's how many of our voices have been developed. We don't charge for them. We don't charge for the app. Someone sponsors the development, and then the voice is free. We have tried. We have tried to start selling a couple premium voices, which for the language, which has a lot of other options. Portuguese. That's one of the things we've tried. But to be honest, so far we haven't really found a solution, a real solution for our sustainability question.
So if you have some nice voices or premium voices in Portuguese that you may allow people to buy, when would that come to the English language?
English, better English voices, and yes, they possibly paid English voices is one of the things we are we are hoping to do in the near future. We're considering it. Right now, we're doing some work on Spanish, and we hope maybe we can start selling some Spanish voices.
Feel free not to answer it if it's giving away any secrets. One thing we really notice, and you will have done as well, is sometimes you'll use a synthesizer or a text-to-speech engine, and it's really laggy, really unresponsive. You talked about the importance of responsiveness when you were developing RHVoice. What causes that unresponsiveness in speech synthesizers? Why is it sometimes some of them are really unresponsive and some of them are great?
Well, I can talk about our approach, and the others may use different approaches. I don't know if they're secrets. Our approach is not a secret, actually, because it's based on an existing open source library which implemented it, and then we re-implemented it in our engine. And the secret is that by default, when speech is generated, it's generated for the whole sentence. The whole sentence is processed, and based on the information about the sentence, the whole sequence of speech parameters for the sentence is generated first, and then it's sent to play to your speakers. And so the longer your sentence is, the longer it will take to synthesize it. But what RHVoice does, it generates bit by bit short segments, and it joins them in a way that is smooth. And so however long your sentence is, it will start speaking as soon as the first segment is ready.
And is that harder work for you because you have to know how to join them naturally, or is that not really a problem, those smaller bits?
Well, it's there are mathematical ways to join them. Well, that's actually not. I haven't worked on that part. My colleague worked on that, and it worked well enough. So, well, it's a bit harder, yes, but it's not that much. Of it's a solved problem, and it's been solved not by us but by researchers before who published their method.
Olga, first I would like to thank you on behalf of all those language speakers having the engine speaking their native language. Considering myself a true world citizen, I'm so happy whenever I see a new language being added to the portfolio.
Thank you. Glad to hear it.
And, you know, it's part of this podcast, we are accessibleandroid.com. So we have a list of languages with available TTS engines table, and you can see many languages and which TTS engines it supports. So RHVoice is getting real popular in there, and this is something great. And here's the boring question. I know you've been asked that a lot. Some people want to have their languages in the portfolio. How they can do this? Like, for example, Arabic, Persian, Turkish, and there are many languages, many speakers of languages. They want their languages to be added, but they don't know how it's done in your side. So maybe a little bit of explanation can help them.
Well, are you asking about the process? How text-to-speech, how in general you develop?
How it's getting developed, like how they do this language ready for them to use in their TTS.
Okay, it's complicated. There are two parts to it. You need to develop support for the language itself. You need to code its pronunciation rules, and how complicated or simple that is, it depends on the language. Like English, what you write and what you actually say in English, it's very different things. Other languages are less complicated.
This question is going the other way. Like, are you having this? Sometimes you have the speaker, the native speaker of that language, but you don't have to module to work on it. I mean, you don't have the resources to work on that language. Do you have that too sometimes? Imagine you got the native speaker of that language. For example, you got the native speaker. He wants to work with you for having that language for RH voice, but you don't have the resources to train that language, learn that language.
Right. For every language, we need to learn enough about it, and we need to write the rules for it. That's how our system works. There are modern neural network systems which can work from text directly, but we don't do that. So first we learn how pronunciation works in this language, and we code the rules, and then we record a native speaker, very high quality speech corpus, and then our machine learning system learns how to then produce speech from any given transcription of the text.
Let's say Karene would like to help you in translation into Arabic or some other language. How would anyone that would be interested in helping you guys go about helping in this project, to translate into another language, for example? What would that process look like? Or is that not something that you guys have contributors from other sources like that?
We have, so there are two kinds of developers of languages and voices in our project. There are people who work on it. They come and they may develop themselves the language and the voice, but for their own language. They usually do it in their spare time. And then there are people who work on it full time, try to work on it full time, and they don't ask people who want to develop a voice or language to work on it themselves, but they ask support, right, in organizing, recording, maybe in, but also, in financial support. If we work on it, we really need to, it needs funding. So maybe you know some organization who can help in finding a voice talent to record, possibly finding a linguist, all that organizational stuff, and we will work on the language and the voice.
Now, Olga, this is something that I noticed with RH Voice. It's a little bit quieter, for example. Is there a way, or maybe would you guys be planning on maybe like adding like a volume booster or something to that effect? Because like when I'm using it, I'll have to turn up, let's say if I were using another TTS and I was at 30% volume. If I switch to this TTS, I'll have to kind of turn up that volume a little bit. Is there a way you guys might kind of give it a little boost or implement a way to turn up its volume natively?
We have a volume setting for language. Have you tried that?
Maybe I didn't, but I was just hoping though that it would just kind of like, latch onto whatever current volume that I have my system set to, instead of falling below the current volume that I have the system set to.
Well, it's probably not because it's falling below the volume, but because our recordings are probably naturally just quieter.
A little softer, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've seen
basically,
that. Yeah, most of the recordings are kind of like low. And are there any plans to make it more natural? It's super responsive, really fast. I mean, of using with the screen reader. But for those who like natural voices, are there any plans? Like, for example, premium voices. You have a Portuguese. I can see they are pretty natural. But when it comes to punctuation, stresses, and things like that, is it any good?
Okay, so to finish, to conclude the volume question, you are asking basically that by default the overall volume of all voices should be larger, greater, right? By
Yeah,
default.
in other words, let's say I'm using, and it is not very true. Let me qualify that it's not very true with every. I have several different TTS engines, and some would be louder, as you've indicated, based on the original recording of the process and all of that. But I find that the RH voice is the one that's kind of quieter than all of them, even if I just leave it at the volume that I have. Let's say I bring a cappella on, or bring vocalizer on, or eSpeak, or some other ones up. They would at least almost matching the current volume that I set it to. But when I switch to the RH voice, it's a little bit quieter. But I think I'm now understanding the process, why that would be. Like you indicated, it could be that the recording was a softer recording. And so also, like you said, though, if there's a volume booster that I could adjust it natively from within the app, I have to do
Yes.
that.
In the language, it's done per language. You can go to the settings for this language, and there is a rate setting and a volume setting.
Nice.
And the second question was about Portuguese, right? Punctuation.
Yeah, just an example. Are there natural voices? Are you planning natural voices, like human-like voices?
You mean like neural network voices?
Yeah, kind of.
Naturally, you mean, yeah. Sorry.
Well, so
It's,
basically, here's what he's saying. Some of the natural sounding TTS engines, sometimes some of them don't do punctuations well, and stuff like that. So you guys may be venturing into those nicer premium voices, as you indicated. I mean, like, you probably have it testing going on in Portuguese. And so he's asking as to if this problem that we've seen with some of the natural sounding TTS engines could be eliminated.
you're talking about intonation, right?
Yeah,
When you
exactly.
say punctuation.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm. Yes, RHVoice, currently, right, it doesn't, it's not, it's something some of us are discussing, but right now it's not, often doesn't, as you say, do punctuation right. Like, it doesn't, you can't tell a semicolon from a period, for example, in RHVoice. Some of our languages have intonation questions, as in Portuguese even have intonation for exclamations, but it's a difference between languages. So intonation is not easy to do. So unfortunately, I can't say that RHVoice is especially has some kind of special advantage in it. In this area, we try, and we are thinking about possible improvements, but they are still in the process of being discussed and tried. So we have nothing special to offer in terms of intonation.
Yeah. So can we get a spoiler? Are there any languages working on, like, are you working on any new languages rather than the existing ones? Are there any new languages coming?
Well, here in Armenia, where I am, we are trying to get started, to get the Armenian project started, but it's I can't say when and how it will turn out. There are Spanish voices we're working on, and as I mentioned before, we're hoping to do better English at some point soon. But as for definite, can't say any more definite at this point, any more than that.
Well, although most questions that I was going to ask are already asked and you already answered them, but I want first to welcome you and to say that I'm always glad to see a lady working in software development. This is dominated by men, so it's great to see you here. It's great to see you working in this. Yeah,
Amen, amen, amen.
You know, from lady
Or
to
a
lady.
women
So,
in this case.
so yeah, really thank you for your work. And well, I have RHVoice installed on my phone. I also follow updates. However, I'm not using it just because I prefer human-like voices more. This is just personal preference, but I have a question regarding languages. So, as I think that you already said before that you focus on languages that have no voices for them or that are not famous in the popular TTS engines, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so, but why US English is included? Although US
Oh,
English
come
is
on,
the...
Karen. You
Yeah,
don't
wait.
want her to support U.S. English. What are you talking about?
Well,
wait,
it was there.
wait,
It was
wait.
there from the start because
Yeah.
after my own language, because I needed it. I needed
Yeah.
an English voice.
Yeah, I wanna reach a point here, which is I'm not against supporting English US, but why there is no UK voice?
Well, because I mean, when I developed that English support a long time ago, and it's still the case, I think the only good, large, freely accessible dictionary and English, recordings were United States English. I didn't see anything for the UK English, so I didn't use it. So I've created US voices, and they've been here for ages. They are very old, almost as old as RHVoice itself.
Okay, makes total sense. Well, I have just two other questions. The first one: are you planning to work on other projects like a TTS engine that could support maybe the Piper neural voices or something like that? This is the first question. And the other one is, if people want to donate, so what's the procedure to give donations to the project?
All right. So yeah, we have been looking at Piper, not extensively. We have been looking at trying neural network voices, but we haven't really doing it. We aren't really doing it yet, and I don't have any definite answer when and how and if it's going to happen. They have their own challenges, neural network voices. So to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question at this point. I personally, yes, I would like to be able to develop voices, natural sounding voices with the same responsiveness RHVoice has. But the technology we have now, it's much simpler to create a reasonable voice. It needs less speech, and right now it's more responsive, this engine. As for donations, we don't actually take donations. We don't have the setup, the arrangement for donations. We've been discussing it on and off, but we always decided not to do it because it seemed you need a proper legal and money setup to manage donations, and then there is a question of what do the donations support? You donate, and then how do we use them? So we never answered all those questions. Well, we never started taking donations.
Yeah, but this might be something that you could consider in future, because the maintenance of the app, you need to have something that works, and you should be supported, and people should be able to support you. I'm not sure how many people are going to be able to support the project, but maybe as a suggestion, maybe in the future you could add the donation version in the Play Store itself to just for people to say thank you, maybe. for the hard work that you are doing.
I don't know if Google actually allows that. Does it allow you to charge for something which you don't sell? I don't know. We need to look into this. I'm not sure. Again, I don't have a definite answer.
Just a couple of questions from me. When Karene was talking about Piper and neural network, a lot of our listeners won't know what that is. Is that essentially just making the voices sound more natural? Is that what that means?
Well, it's neural networks are much better at learning this relationship from text, so to say, to speech. They can then generate very natural speech. So yes, it will be more natural, more human-like, more pleasant to listen to. Yes, but it's more, at least as I see it, it's more challenging. It really it requires a lot of what we call training data, a lot of recordings for it to learn from, much more recordings than the technology we are currently using. Like, with our technology, you can record an hour of speech and have a reasonable voice, but with neural network, you probably need tens of hours, 10, 20, even more. That's at least what my conclusion is from the research I've looked at and the published recordings, open source recordings available on which various research is being done in this new technology.
Fair enough.
I just mentioned Piper because the voice data is already available for many languages and for many variants, and it's already supported. There's a driver for NVDA, for example, on Windows. So for that reason, I just mentioned it as an example because already the data of many voices is available. So this was an example because, Piper is something that there are developers who are working on, as I said, in NVDA, for example. Yeah, it is less responsive, of course. Even on NVDA, it is less responsive than, for example, Acapella or eSpeak or any other engine. But yeah, I think that it's just amazing because of the amount of languages that are supported and because of the voice data that is available.
Yes. But in practical terms, it means that there is already a solution, right? There is already Piper. So there is really no RHVoice is not going to create any advantages if we try doing it.
Yeah, but it's not for our Android, so this is the point.
Yes, but it will be right now. It will be even less responsive on Android.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes. So right now our focus is responsiveness. So yes, again, I know that neural networks are the future, and they sound great if they are done right. But RHVoice is not ready for them yet. But I'm not saying it will never switch to them.
Well, Olga, thank you. This has been very educating, and we are so thankful for your work there with the team members for this project. And would you come back again, when you have done some more stuff that would like to talk about? In other words, would you be willing to come back again down the road after some updates and things like that? And let's talk about some of the newer things that you guys have done in the future. So we would love to have you come back. So would you be willing to come back again? And maybe this time bring along some Russian or Armenian food. We love food.
Okay. I'll be glad to come. Yes, and thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
how would people reach you guys? Well, I guess through the app. Is there feedback there, or just they will send you a message from the Play Store? Like I
Actually,
contacted you
we
by the
have
Play Store.
recently added a feedback form. You
Okay.
can reach it through the yes. You can write us an email. There's a link on the Play Store page, and there is on there we have RHVoice.com website, RHVoice.org website. They have support email links. So yes, but on Android, just send us a feedback through the app. But if you want us to be able to ask follow-up questions or answer, don't forget to tell us your email address.
And now, Jieshuo, aka Commentary Screen Reader, CSR, or if you're me, the Confused Screen Reader. This is a segment dedicated to this great popular screen reader where we show you some new feature or some feature that we believe you should be in the know of. And now, for this episode, here's your entry for Jieshuo, aka Commentary Screen Reader.
And finally, for this week, we have our next in a series on the commentary screen reader, where Karene shows us the voice assistant and its new AI capabilities.
Hi. AI chatbots are everywhere. However, maybe you don't expect to have one in the screen reader that you're using. But why not? Jieshuo Screen Reader developer decided to give the paid users the ability to talk directly with an online Chinese chatbot called Spark from the screen reader itself, either using text prompts or using the voice assistant feature. With this, people are able to ask questions and give other prompts. Well, this, I think, can't be compared to the popular international chatbots like ChatGPT, but it works. I will talk in this demo about the voice assistant basics of Jieshuo, and I'll talk about this new AI chatbot and how to use it. Well, from its name, it's a voice assistant. You can use your voice to issue commands. By default, you can long press the volume down key if the screen is unlocked, and you can use the swipe down then left with one finger gesture. Also, you can assign another gesture to voice assistant if you want to, and you can activate it from the main menu. I'll go into Jieshuo settings to see
Main menu.
some settings related to this voice assistant.
Main menu. Jieshuo settings. Shortcut key settings. Jieshuo Plus.
I'll go into advanced settings.
Tools. Extend. Advanced settings. Advanced settings.
And then
OCR settings. Voice assistant and translation settings.
voice assistant and translation settings.
Voice assistant and translation settings.
The first option, which is still in Chinese, and until the time of recording, it can be translated. It is to take you to the history, where you can read the chat history, and you can also send text prompts from there.
Speech recognition language English.
Here you will have only English and Chinese, at least in the English interface. As far as I know, the voice assistant works according to the language of your device, to your system language. For me, I only used it with English, and my system language is English.
Recognition engine speech recognition and synthesis from google.com.google.android.tts/com.google. Android.apps.speech.tts.googlets.service.googlets recognition service.
This is not the default recognition service, but it's recommended to use the speech recognition from Google. So it is always better to go into settings and change it to speech recognition and synthesis from Google.
Voice command settings. Super voice commands. Voice assistant capability settings.
I'll go now into voice assistant capability settings.
Voice assistant capability. Voice assist. Allow the execution of custom functions from global gesture schemes with the voice assistant checked.
Using the voice assistant, you can issue commands by saying the name of a function, like the functions in the main menu. Also some other voice commands that are supported by default. And here in this window or in this section of voice assistant settings, you can add some more capabilities. The first one is this one, which will enable you to say the names of custom functions that you have in your global gesture schemes, like the custom gesture scheme. And by saying their names, you will be able to execute them.
Allow the execution of custom functions from per-app gesture schemes with the voice assistant checked.
The same custom functions, but this is related to per-app gesture schemes, which are the schemes that are related to specific applications.
Allow to use custom voice commands with the voice assistant checked.
Custom voice commands are, we can consider them as a type of functions. I'll not go into details regarding the custom voice commands.
Allow to use super voice commands with the voice assistant checked.
Also, it's a type of voice commands that a user can create.
Allow to execute extensions with the voice assistant checked.
This is related to extensions, so you can say the name of an extension in order for the voice assistant to activate it.
Allow to execute tools with the voice assistant checked.
Also, this is related to tools, so you can just say the name of the tool.
Allow to directly click on elements with the voice assistant checked. Controls whether you can click an element by just saying its name. When this option is unchecked, use the click keyword with the name of the element you wish to click.
So, using the voice assistant, you can click elements on the screen. Without enabling this setting, you can say click and say the name of the item. However, when you activate this, you don't need to say click before the name of the item. So when the screen reader sees this item on the screen, it will activate it. And it's important to note here that you don't need to say the name, the entire name. You just can say a word of the name. If it's a sentence, for example, or more than one word, you can just say one word and it will click the matching element.
Allow to open applications directly with the voice assistant checked. Controls whether you can open an application by just saying its name. When this option is unchecked, use the open keyword with the name of the application you wish to open.
Using the voice assistant, you can open apps. When you activate this option, you don't need to say open before opening the app. You just can say its name and it will be opened.
Use the artificial chat assistant checked.
This checkbox is for, first of all, you can't activate the chatbot that I talked about before without checking this checkbox. But if you don't check the checkbox that is after it, which is until now is still in Chinese, what will happen is that if the voice assistant can't do any matching with any function or item or application name, it will just do a search, and the search will be using the Baidu engine, so it's not using Google.
Checked.
And this is the last option, which will let you speak with the voice or with the AI chatbot, which is the Spark chatbot. So you'll be able to talk with it. These are the available settings. So from the settings, you can just notice how capable is the voice assistant. The chat history, which is the first item, can be also can be also opened from the functions, from the main menu, I mean, or you can assign a gesture to it, but it's still, until this moment, in Chinese. I will tell you now about some things that you can do with the voice assistant, in addition to what was mentioned before. You can use the word call and then say the name of the person for Jieshuo to call the person. And the person's name should be, of course, in your contact, and the contact's permission should be given to Jieshuo for this to work. If you are in a chat application like Telegram or WhatsApp, you can use the word send and then speak what you want to type. And after you are done with that, it will immediately send the message when you are in the chat. I assume that this works by trying to find a button called send and then sending the text that you typed or that you said to the voice assistant. Also, you can use the word uninstall and then say the name of the app, and this will uninstall, or this will open the uninstall dialog of this app. You can say install and say the name of the app, and this will do a Play Store search using the words that you said after install. Let's give the voice assistant now a try. I'll go to WhatsApp,
Telegram, ACR phone, WhatsApp, application icon,
I am now in my personal chat, and I will activate the voice assistant using the long pressing of the volume down key. Send, hi, how are you?
sent successfully.
Let's see.
Today, hi, how are you? Video. Today, hi, how are you? 2244 read. Buttons. Words. Carrot. Today. Carrot. New line. H. I. Space. H. O. W. Space. E. Space. 1. O. U. New line.
Nothing is capitalized. You can use punctuations. By saying the punctuation, it will input this punctuation. It is using the speech recognition from Google. Let's try now dictation. Dictation. This is a very good service.
Copy to clipboard. This is a very good service text box. Words. Service. Good. Very. A. Character. S. Capital I. F. A. Capital T.
Using this dictation is making every word, every first letter of a word capitalized. However, if you use the voice dictation function, not by using this one, by using the function itself, which is called voice dictation, this doesn't happen. Let's try now to ask the AI bot something. So, can a blind person use Android?
Yes, a blind person can use Android. There are many accessibility features in Android that make it easier for visually impaired people to use the phone. Some of these features include voice commands, text-to-speech, and braille displays. Additionally, there are many apps available that can be used by blind people to help them with tasks such as reading emails, playing games, and navigating the internet.
It didn't mention TalkBack, but it's okay. Let's ask it about itself. Who are you?
He, lo, I, am if, Litech S, Park developed by if, Litech, and my name is IFLYTEK Spark. I can communicate with human beings naturally, answer questions, and efficiently complete the needs of cognitive intelligence in various fields.
Okay, so this way of speaking is because it is receiving the text. So this is because of the time it is taking to receive the text, but it is so quick. I'll try to open
Home screen 2 of 2.
to activate something. Here on this home screen page, I have the left-right stereo test. I will open it by just saying the word left. Left.
Click application icon. Start button. Home screen 2 of 2.
So this is just to give you an overview of how this works. I'll go now to the history.
Voice assist. Speech recognition language. Jieshuo Plus. Send hi, how are you? Sent successfully. Dictation. Can a blind person use Android? Yes, a blind person can use Android. Who are you? Hello, I am IFLYTEK Spark developed by IFLYTEK, and my name, left. Click left. Text box.
So this is the history. And using this text box, I can type what I want to ask for. And I can type functions. I can type voice commands. So it is not only to talk with the AI assistant. It's like what you can do with the voice assistant, you can type here. I will type YouTube and see if it will open YouTube for me.
Y, Yankee. O, Oscar. U, T, Ta, U, B, Bra, E, Echo. Browse by touch resumed. Jieshuo Plus.
And I will tap send.
Send button. Open YouTube. Home. YouTube. Cast. Disconnect. Notifications button.
That's YouTube. And I can use it also with usual functions, as I said before. The last thing that I want to mention is that you are able to change the TTS engine that will speak the responses after you issue a voice command. So you go to TTS settings.
Feedback settings. TTS settings. TTS settings.
Then scenario adaptive TTS configurations.
Scenario adaptive TTS configurations. Scenario adaptive TTS configurations.
And then there's also a Chinese item.
Caller info TTS settings. Character by character. Time announcement TT.
It is now focused. I will use the voice assistant to translate it by saying translation. Translation.
Voice assistant voice settings.
Here you can specify the things related to the engine that should be used with the voice assistant responses. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Karene. Anything more you want to say about that?
I just want to ask an innocent question to my friend Warren. Well, Warren, don't you really feel jealous because Jieshuo has this very advanced voice assistant? Well, actually, I wasn't a voice assistant user. I started using it recently. I'm not usually a voice assistant person, but really the features and the abilities, the capabilities of this voice assistant made me use it more and more. So what's your thinking about it? What do you think?
It is still a confused screen reader. Well, not seriously. It's a great feature. I've said it, and I'll probably say it again. In as much as I don't care about it, it has some things done right. And so, congratulations to the developer. And my thing is, bring the damn thing to the Play Store. Excuse me, but that's all I can say about it. Bring the damn thing to the Play Store.
And as I say always, please don't do. We don't want Warren to use it.
Well, Orange is not chomping at the bits to, use it. But frankly, if he's going to have more popularity and wider user base, bring that thing to the Play Store. That's all I'm asking. So everyone else would have it. People that want to get it, try it. It's a great app, even though it's confused.
One thing I was wondering, I was listening to your demo, and I have Telegram sped up quite a lot. So some of this could have been a Telegram Audio Labs thing. Like, how is the responsiveness with Jieshuo these days? Because it seemed that the little ear cons were quite a way before the speech feedback. Like I say, that could be the audio, or it could have been my setup.
Well, this is because of the engine that I was using. I'm using the Microsoft Voices, the multi-TTS thing, so it is less responsive compared to other engines. So I think this is the cause of the problem. Well, I can say that Jieshuo on Android 14 is slightly less responsive, but it is still good. However, the TTS engine here plays the role of making this problem happen. So this is because of just the Microsoft TTS or the multi-TTS thing.
No, that's good to know. Because obviously one of its selling points was it was a lot snappier than TalkBack. So it's good to know that it still is if you use it under different circumstances or environments.
Well, to be honest, for me at least, it is not more responsive than TalkBack. It is like the same, but I can say that many people say that it's much more responsive. Maybe this can be felt on lower end devices, maybe the devices that are older or something. But for me, I think that TalkBack and Jieshuo are similar in terms of responsiveness.
Yeah, and if you have an A50 series phone, I guess you might not see it. It can't get so responsive, can it? So I think you're right. It probably is that lower powered phone where you feel it.
And you know what? I want to thank Karene. You're not being a fangirl here. In totality, you're being honest. And you know, if you were someone that drinks a beer, I'll buy you a beer just because.
Well, that's something amazing. A fanboy saying that.
Well, exactly. You might want to learn from her honesty.
Yeah.
Well, no, frankly, you know, like I said, you know, there are things that this screen reader has, like some of the functionalities, you know, we've demonstrated those here over and over again. And, you know, even I could be a little bit envious of those. So it's not the responsiveness personally for me, but some of the functionalities that we don't have in TalkBack. And congratulations to that guy. You know, it has lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, but talking about the fangirl thing and the fanboys, I was never a fangirl. I'm the person who did the comparison article that it seems that you didn't read, which we will talk about later. The thing that you are not reading the article, okay. But I did a comparison between the two screen readers, TalkBack and Jieshuo, and I talked about the weaknesses and the strengths in both, because I think that we should always be, if you try to be a liar on others, you can't lie to yourself. So you should just try to say things as they are. Each screen reader has its strengths, has its weaknesses, and it's good to have them both and to use them both and to just have a competition.
Perfect. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us.
And that brings us to the end of this week's episode. John, how can everyone get in touch with us?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Well, that's it from us for this week, folks. We shall see you next week. Thanks very much. Say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone, and thanks for listening. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Don't forget to send us your app demos, and we'll be seeing you next week.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.